Hi everyone and welcome to my Facebook Live. I'm Angela Palmer from Stamp with Angela, and today I'll be sharing an idea with you for making cards, and that's casing the catalogue. So if you're wondering what casing the catalogue means, is use the catalogue or the brochures and things to see what cards that Stamping Up have already created, and then use those as ideas for cards that you can make as well. So sometimes we've got cards to make and we just don't know where to start or what to do. So by casing the catalogue, it can give you some great ideas. Now you can do it very similar to what they've done, or maybe you need to make some adaptations because you don't quite have what they've got. That's okay, but use it as a starting point for inspiration, and that'll help you get started with your crafting and things. So today I'm going to share with you a card using the Dainty Delight Bundle. And I will case a card that I saw in the Sale-A-Bration brochure. So I'll show you my creation, I'll show you the one in the brochure, and then I'll show you step by step how I made it. So if you need some ideas, you might look in the catalogue with the stamps that you've already got, or you might flick through the catalogue and think, oh, I like that particular layout, and then you can adapt it to use what you've got. So the idea of today's live is to show you how you don't necessarily have to come up with ideas from scratch, but you can use what's around you to give you some inspiration and to help you get started. So I hope you find that useful. And even as I make the cards today, hopefully some of the little tips I use for adhering or sponging and things will help you and give you some ideas too. All right. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to comment. You can comment as I'm going and I'll do my best to answer, or if you're watching the recording later, I'll reply later. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment as well, and if you liked it, like the video and subscribe too. So let's get started and we will do some crafting. And welcome to those that are joining today too. I've just noticed Elizabeth, you're here, and some others, so thank you for watching today. And I'm going to turn my camera around, so just bear with me for a moment. All right. Sorry. Only takes a second, but I just got to rearrange everything. And I'll get it into the camera and stuff and zoom in. All right, here we go. So this is today's card, this here, and it uses quite a few of the die cuts from the Dainty Delight bundle and sentiments, and then the embossing folder from the mini catalogue. So I will show you, this is the stamp set, Dainty Delight, which is where the sentiment is from. And then these are the dies. So this is a photocopy of it, and some of the dies. And I've got others that I've already used and cut out bits ready to go. Put it in here because there's lots of little bits so I don't lose it. And you'll see that some of the dies cut out, if you get it up the right way, the images, which is so you can just stamp it on a card and leave it, or you can stamp these and cut them out and then dimensionalize them so they are a bit more, stand up more. So you'll see that all these images here can be cut out, which is really cool. But this set has got lots of other things that you can add to your cards to make it more interesting, and add some die cut things. And you'll see a few different colors here. So I'm going to show you where I got my inspiration from. So this is the Sale-A-Bration brochure, and Sale-A-Bration is only on for a little bit longer. It ends on the 28th of February. So if you've got things on your wish list and you've been thinking about ordering, if you order before the 28th of February, then you can make the most of Sale-A-Bration and you can get some freebies. So if you spend $110 before shipping, then you can choose one of these items. So here is the Dainty Delight papers. So they're designed to coordinate with that stamp and die set that I've got. And they're those lovely flowers and things. And I've used them in videos before. And we're going to make this card here. So it uses some of the paper. So I have used some sheets completely up, but you'll see one side is quite flowery. It's a slightly smaller design like that. And there's one like this. There's also one that's more pinkish, but I've used that. Oh, hang on. Here it is. I have got some left. And there's another sheet, which I've pretty much used up. And then the other side is more one colour or watercolours. So today's card is using this Fresh Freesia colour. And the other one, which I've used up, is using a little bit of the green, which is the back of another design. So we're going to use that. So this is in the background of the card, and you'll see all the die cuts and things. So you may not have this particular die cut set, but you could use the layout and things in other ways, or if you really like it, you may like to get it soon. If you buy the bundle, the dies and the dies and the stamps, it's 116, then you could get the papers for free. So that would be cool. All right. So hello, Jean. Welcome today as well. Thank you for joining us. All right. So let's start crafting with this card. So in the catalogue, so this set is from the mini catalogue. And if you didn't know, if you look at the back, you will see the bundles. So what things are offered is a stamp and die set or stamp set and punch. And this is the Dainty Delight one here. So if you want to see more of it, you go to page 55. And here it is in a bit more detail. And you buy the bundle, you get 10% off. And then if you look in the catalogue, you keep going through the bundles. They've got like an index with pictures, which is really cool. So if you didn't know, check out the back of the catalogue. We've got stamps, so a little image of the stamps in alphabetical order, and then you can go find them on the right page. The die sets that we've got, and then other things like punches, papers, embellishments, embossing folders. And one of the embossing folders I'm going to use today is the cane weave one on page 31, which is here. So yeah, so if you don't have a copy of the catalogue and you'd like one, you don't have a demonstrator, please get in contact with me and I can send you one. All right, so let's get crafting. So to make my card, I've got a standard card base, which is thick whisper white, and it's half an A4, so 21 centimeters by 14.85, scored at 10.5, and then I've got a piece a little bit smaller, 10 centimeters by 14.3, which I have embossed with the weave folder. So I've already done that to save time. So this is what it looks like. Don't know if you can really tell, hard in the video, but you can see it's quite a defined image. Okay, so I need my backdrop piece and then all my die cuts, and I'm going to do a bit of blending on those too, so you can see that as well. So I have got a piece of this paper which is the same width as my card, and I haven't necessarily done the size exactly the same as the card, because you'll probably find in America the cards are a little bit wider, but they're a bit fatter this way but shorter this way, just because of the way their cardstock works. So it's never going to be exact, but we get the idea. So I need to do that angle. So this is what I did. I put my paper in at 6 centimeters and I did a little pencil mark, and then I moved it to 9 centimeters and I did a little pencil mark, and then I angled those and I cut. Then I kind of turned it round and I wanted a little bit, I don't know if you can see, coming down there. So let's make it a reasonable width. But I want the angles straight. So I've just put it on a line. I think I need to go over a little bit more perhaps, or down a bit. So the angle should be at the same, I don't know, slope, whatever you call it, like that. So this one is down a little bit more than the other. I haven't got quite as much gap there. If I decide I want a bit more gap, I could make it a little bit narrower. Line it up. So I'm lining this one straight. We'll just cut a little bit more off. There we go. And then I'm going to put that on here. Actually, while we've got, no, that's right, we can do the next part with scissors, that's fine. All right, so then I've got a little bit of the die cut showing here and lots on the other side. All right, so stick that down. So that's kind of giving us a bit of background, and that's in the Fresh Freesia colour. Now on this one, I just used a piece of plain green Pierre Pizzazz cardstock. I wasn't exactly happy with that. And I realised in their one, it's hard to see, but they've actually got a bit of a white design on it. And I realised they used another paper. Now ideally it should go that way, but I've only got narrow strips. So I'm just going to put it on like so, and then trim it. I don't think once it's got everything else on it, you're going to notice which way the design goes. You will notice because I've told you, but no one else will. So try and get my angles right, and then a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to trim. Okay, so that's my background. All right, lots of die cutting and things. So what I'll do is I'll get all the bits ready and then we'll put it together. So with our dies, we have a die like this, which cuts out this one. We have some little flowers. So I've got some little pink flowers. And what I'm actually going to do is sponge the edges a little bit. I didn't do it on the first one, but it looks like they have, so we'll do that on our one. Now I've got to do this, I need the little one. Okay, now it's going to be a little bit hard because some of them are hard to hold, but I'm just going to get some Blushing Bride and ink up my brush and just try to do kind of the edges a little bit. And it just kind of, defines it a little bit more. You don't have to do this. It is a bit fiddly and I'm probably going to end up with a little bit on my finger. But it just kind of adds to a little bit more. You can compare the two afterwards and see if you notice a difference. This one I'm just going to have to kind of go over the top. All right, I can kind of tell the difference. If you look at one there that's not, I'll compare those two. I don't know how well you can see on the video, but there we go. Then we've got the flowers. So I've just cut this out of soft seafoam. No, not soft seafoam. So saffron. And then I'm going to go over with a bit of pumpkin pie to make it just on the edges, just to define them a little bit as well. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll just move that out of the way for the moment and just kind of on the edges. So you can do this with any kind of die cutting. You could do it on the edges of embossed pieces as well. But the blending brushes are great. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the mini catalogue, there's even some smaller ones, which might be better for something like this, but I don't have any yet. All right. Maybe a little bit more colour. Anyway, you get the idea. Just defines them a bit. I haven't brought my blue ink out, so I'll have to leave the blue one as is. All right. So, what have we got? So we've got this here. I've got this part, which is where the blue is going to adhere to. I've got a couple of stalks. They're quite narrow for these here. So I actually, for the second one, I cut another one of those and then cut a bit off. And then a couple of leaves. And then the flowers need the brown bits in the centre, but we'll do that afterwards. Right, let's see if we can do a bit of constructing here. It is a pretty card, isn't it? It's just a little bit of die cutting there, but quite effective. And I wouldn't have come up with this idea myself, but like I say, it was cased from what I've seen in a flyer or catalogue, which is great. So the best way I find to adhere this, I'll use the scrap bit, is put a dot on the leaves. So let's just, keep going first. Not too much because you don't want it to squirt out. Just dot the leaves. Okay. and we're going to curve it round. I probably should have put it on the card first. Oh well, we can do that afterwards. Okay, and this, if you've got one, is quite good to put a punch on top of it. Press it down. Handy. Okay. Before we go any further, let's put it onto our card base. Alright, here we go. So have you cased things from the catalogue before? Yeah, I do like this one better with that more pattern behind than that one that's plain. But anyway, we'll finish it and we'll see. Okay, we're going to put one of these on the side. You may need to kind of trim it off as well. So what's quite good when it is very, what's the word? Narrow. I like to use my silicone mat and a sponge and, whoops, glue. And then I can sponge glue on it. There's not too much. And then stick it down. So we want that from the side. I can do that. This one's not too bad because it's a bit bigger, but we might as well do the same. And then you can just rinse this when you finish, clean it with soapy water and stuff. There we go. All right, now for our pink flowers. So what I'm going to do is put dots of glue where I want to put them. We'll do two at once. The bigger ones aren't too hard to pick up, but the smaller ones are. So what I like to use, if I can find it, is my Take Your Pick tool. Now, on one end is this putty, which you can use kind of as a glue, but it's actually really good for picking things up. So it's just sticky, so I can pick it up and then, whoops, put it, turn it around. Actually, that one's going to go down the bottom. We won't use that one. We want this one up here to go up here, and another medium. I'll do the little one, the ones down here, because I can find them at the moment. We'll try one here. I'm just trying to do similar to what I did before, but it's really useful, good for picking up sequins as well. And here's my little one, maybe a bit too much glue, but it'll dry clear. And my last one has disappeared. It's probably stuck to the paper. Just as well I've got a spare, even though it's not glued, coloured with the blending brush. There we go. Alright, getting there, not too much to go. So then I've got some flowers, so I need to add a couple more stalks. So again, I'm going to add some glue to these. So you can try and sort of do that. And I might just kind of sponge it over. So you want one longer and one shorter. So one up there, I probably want it to attach to something, one like that. And another one over here. There we go. And then my flowers, so we'll put some glue down again. Gonna pick it up with this. There we go. And my half down a bit. Oops, except I need to do it the other way around, don't I? Have it down. So this is very, let's do it angled like that. Right, now you'll notice that, whoops, doesn't want to stay. In the center is the brown bit, which are also dyes. I'll show you the dyes afterwards. So in my little box, I've got these pre-cut as well. That one and that one. Whoops, stay. There we go. So I'll show you the different dyes I've used. Oh, and I need some leaves as well. So that one is for that. this is for the blue, which I'll stick on now. Did I stick that on before and lift it off again, did I? There we go, except that's upside down. Let's put a bit more glue on it. Must have come up. There we go. And then you've got these leaves. The leaves are really good because it cuts out 2 at once. And then the pink flowers, oh look, there's my other pink flower, it's still on the die. It cuts out all 4, which is very cool. Yeah, and the other dies as well. So, is that all the dies I need? I believe so. We just need our leaves. So I've got one here and one here. So I'm going to put a bit of glue where I want it to go and use my favourite tool at the moment, the Take Your Pick tool. I don't know, that side I think, like that. Turn it over and one there. Oh, isn't that pretty? Beautiful. Except I've lost that, so we're going to have to stick that back on again. Oops, we don't want it on there. Okay, so we need to add a sentiment and some bling. Alright, so on a small piece of basic white, I'm going to use the Mossy Meadow ink, which is the colour of the leaves. And you could use whatever, I'll just use what they've got. And trim it to fit. Oh, it's a bit wonky. It's alright, we can turn it over and try again. No, I still don't like it. Okay, we'll keep trying. The pressure of when you're being watched. That's better. Okay, now on the card that they have, I don't know if you can tell, but there is some ribbon. And they've got ribbon folded in half. It's like a blue white ribbon. It's in the catalogue and I don't have any, so I was like, what can I do? So I'll show you it. So it's this ribbon here, which is on page 23. I think it's part of this here, so it's quite nice. So they've got the blue sides showing more. So I don't have that, so I'm going to just put it on a piece of balmy blue, and that kind of ties those 2 blue bits together. So I'm just going to trim it and then we'll adhere it on a piece that's a little bit bigger, like so. Which one am I happiest with? And then maybe I can just take a fraction off at the top. I'm using the line on the trimmer to kind of keep it straight. Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to put that there. Does it go up a fraction? Just let me see. Okay, just, that's better. Okay, I'm going to glue it on here and then trim it with that border. Hopefully if it, actually let's just go the width like so, and then brilliant. Okay, so you can do a fancy shape or you can just, you know, do it like that. This might be a little bit bigger than what it was on my other card, but that's okay. Whether you want it up the top, down the bottom, I'm not sure. Just need to straighten it slightly. We can. What do you like? Do you like it up the top? Do you like it down the bottom? What do you think? I'll give you a moment to reply. Top or bottom? And while we're deciding that, I'll add the bling. So I've got some iridescent pearls. So with my Take Your Pick, I'm going to spin that round and flip it so I've got my pointy end. Now there should be a plastic cover for this, but I've misplaced mine, so I keep it that way so I don't, you know, stab myself with it. And then when I use it, I'll get it out. All right, so let's put, so kind of collections of, got 2 and 2, so there's 5 on this card overall. So there's kind of I'll show you where they are on theirs. You don't have to do it the same, but they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the bottom. So 3 at the top. You've got kind of around here, and then 2 at the bottom. Theirs are a slightly bluish tinge by the look of it. So I don't know if it's picking up the colour because of the photo or just mine look more pink. There we go. All right. So bottom we're saying. Let's put it there. Grab my dimensionals and we will put it on the bottom. So we can just overlap it a little bit. And there we have it. So I hope you like this card, and I hope it will inspire you to have a look at the catalogue. Let's put the sample in there. Have a look at the catalogue and have a go at, you know, making it and adapting. So, you know, you may not get it exactly the same, and that's okay. Like I say, with this first one, I just used plain cardstock, and that was a little bit boring. If I had to use cardstock again, I would probably stamp a pattern on it, just lightly in the background with Pear Pizzazz or Versamark, just to give it some pattern. But then I was able to, for this one, use the green paper with the pattern on it, so that worked well. And I didn't have the ribbon, so I've just framed my sentiment using similar colours. Yeah, so there you go. So hopefully you learnt a few tips, like, you know, colouring around the edges of your die, using a sponge when you've got to glue some very detailed things or thin things down, that kind of thing. And then just adapting what you see to make cards using what you've got. All right, thanks for your time today. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Please comment, please like this, please share, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.